Hello! So glad you have all joined me today for this music theory lesson about secondary function chords. Yay! Okay, let's get started. You're probably all wondering, what is a secondary function chord? Or you know kind of what it is, but you're watching this because you want to actually understand what they do and how they work so you do good on your theory test. So, a secondary function chord is a chord that just doesn't quite fit into the key signature, kind of. Basically, it's like the key changes for one chord, maybe two. It's like not quite a key change, it's not a modulation, it's just this chord that doesn't go along with the key signature. So you either have secondary dominant chords or like a secondary 7 chord. So if it's a secondary dominant chord, it would be where the root of the chord is like the 7th or the 3rd, like in a major scale, but for some reason there's a major chord there when it should be like diminished or minor, and you're like, whoa, what's a major chord doing on that root that usually has a minor chord there? It's a good hint that that's a secondary dominant. And secondary 7 chord, secondary leading tone, that's what they're called. Secondary leading tone chords are when there's a diminished chord somewhere where there should be a minor or major chord according to the root of the chord. So I feel like I'm rambling and probably making you guys somewhat confused. So I have a few examples I would like to show you. So let's take a look at some secondary function chords. Here's an example. It has a little bit of writing on it because I accidentally messed up the first time I tried filming this. So this example is in E flat major, as you can see by the 3 flats there. It's not a minor, it's a major. I gave that one to you. And what we have is a C, G, E natural C chord. This chord has the accidental in it, which is kind of a red flag for a secondary function chord. That natural makes it a major chord, and when you have the red flag of, okay, this is a secondary function chord, most likely, and this is a major chord, the conclusion you should draw from that is that it's a secondary dominant. So it's a 5 of something, because it's a major chord. So if you need to find out this bottom part here. So in order to figure out what this bottom part here should be, you need to look at the root of the chord. So the root is C, all right? So it is a C major chord, and you need to think, in what key is C the dominant interval? That's not quite the right word that I'm looking for. Anyway, in what key is C the 5th? So to do that, you count down a 5th from C. So here's C. So C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 puts us on F. So we need to be thinking in the key of F in this chord. So we know that we are now in the key of F, and we need to now be thinking, what degree of the scale is F in the key of E flat? F is the 2nd degree in the key of E flat, so that means this is a 5 of 2, okay? I feel like that got a little bit confusing when I was trying to explain it, so luckily I have a second example. Okay, so in this example, we're in a minor key. We are now in E minor. I guess I just like E today or something. So what we have here is B flat, or excuse me, B sharp, F sharp from our key signature, D sharp, and another B sharp just to make it a 4-part chord. Now, we don't usually see, well, you need to look at the accidentals. A D sharp would not be uncommon in the key of E minor because it's the leading tone. So we'll just put a leading. So let's look at an example of a secondary dominant chord to start out with. So I have this example here that I highlighted. See that? And there, that's better. Now you can see my face. So this example here that I have highlighted is a C. It's a dominant C7 chord. So it is C, E, G, B flat. It is written in the key of C. So you don't usually have B flats in the key of C. So that's like your first clue that, hey, maybe this is a secondary function chord. Also, if you look at it, and I drew this out nicely here, you can tell that it is a dominant chord because the first triad, C, E, G, is a major triad, and the second triad, E, G, B flat, is a diminished triad. And anytime you have a diminished triad built on top of a major triad like that, that is a dominant 7 chord. So the 7 chord built on the 5th scale degree. Okay? So another way to look at it is you can have a major triad and then the 7 is it's a minor 7th between like the C and the B flat. So that's how you figure that much out. The next part you're probably wondering about is what's that 5/7 over 4 talking about? Well, the 5/7, as we just established, is because C, E, G, B flat is a chord that would be, it's a 7 chord that would be built on the 5th scale degree. However, the 5th scale degree in the key of C, which this is written in, is not C. The 5th scale degree in the key of C is G. So then you have to figure out in what key is a dominant C7 chord in. This 4 says that this C chord is built in the 4th scale degree of the key of C. So this is written in the key of C. The 4th scale degree of C is F, and so this is the 5/7 of the key of F, is basically what this is saying. So I will try to explain that a little more clearly with this example that I just so happen to have in my awesome notebook. So in this example, we are in the key of E flat major, and we have a C, G, E natural, B flat chord. So first clue that this is possibly a secondary function chord is that we have this accidental right here. We have an E natural in a key signature that has an E flat, something that you don't, usually see. So a normal C chord in the key of E flat would not have that natural sign there. Now, in order to figure out what kind of secondary function chord this is, we need to figure out if this is a major 7 chord. Yep, I made this a 7 chord. If this is a major, if this is a dominant 7 chord, or if it is a diminished or half diminished 7 chord. So looking at this, we have, if we were to put this in root position, we would have C, E natural, G, B flat. And so this is a major triad on top of, underneath a diminished triad, which makes a dominant 7 chord. Tracking with me? I hope so. So we know that this is a 5/7 of something. Now we just have to figure out what of something it is. So in order to do that, we look at the root of the chord, which is C, and we think to ourselves, in what key is C the fifth? Okay? So if you count down from C a perfect fifth, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would put us on F. You have to make sure you're thinking in accidentals as well, in other keys. So anyway, but that would put us on an F natural. So that would be in the key of F. Okay? So then, now that we've established that, find a different color. This secondary function chord is functioning in the key of F. We need to think, what scale degree is F in the key of E flat? So then you just, at least for me, I just think in my head, E flat is, like the next key you would play on a keyboard is F. Or you can look at your staff and be like, okay, E flat, the next one above it would be F. And again, make sure that you're thinking of all the different accidentals and things like that. But anyway, so it would be the second scale degree in the key of E flat. So this is a 5/7 of 2 chord. Yay. That's about all the time YouTube will let me have, so please go to part 2 to see the rest of the lesson. Okay, bye, see you soon.